And so today what we're going to cover is there's a couple of goals that I want to just kind of keep clearly in mind here. Number one, we're going to help you master the 4-point off scripting process. I'm going to show you how to set up and execute exactly for success. And then I'm also going to help you to eliminate overwhelm. Today, we're going to talk about supercharged off scripting, the ultimate solution for pipeline efficiency. And I'm talking about how to operate a pipeline once it's up and kind of going, because as you know, if you've used any of our services to help you get up and going, we'll build out a custom pipeline, or you'll build your own pipeline, get it up and running, and you start putting people into it and you start messaging people. And then all of a sudden things start to happen, right? And so this session is about how to manage the pipeline once it's kind of at that stage. And so today what we're going to cover is there's a couple of goals that I want to just kind of keep clearly in mind here. Number one, we're going to help you master the 4-point off scripting process. I'm going to show you how to set up and execute exactly for success. And then I'm also going to help you to eliminate overwhelm, because I know like any new software or any software, for it's the number one reason why people leave any coaching program or any software or anything is because of overwhelm. So our job constantly is to refine and reduce overwhelm and make things simple and easy, and try to take a lot of the forethought out of the process so that you can just go and run the play and win, right? So those are the goals for today. Let's get into it. When you first saw FlowChat, I want everyone to take a little bit of a journey with me, the emotional journey of getting into this, or maybe even another program that you've been involved with in the past. Like when you first see something, in this case, when you first saw FlowChat for the first time, or maybe you jumped on a call with one of our team, you're thinking like, oh man, I got to make a change. I got to explore this new option, this different way of doing things. Let's look at the DM outreach game and see if it's something that could fit for me. And for one reason or another, you came to this epiphany of, oh my God, like here's this path. Like you're saying there's a chance that I could get to the next level. And you're like, just freak out because it's something new and exciting. And then you're moving forward. And as you jump into it, the first couple of days, you're like, oh, I'm so excited. This new thing is so cool. And you go around and you start telling all your friends and everybody, and you're like, I got this new path, this new process, this new thing that I'm going to put in my business, and it's going to explode all my results. I can't even wait to get going. And you have all this built up energy and excitement, and you start to get into it. And then things start to kind of take a little bit of a dip from the excitement level. Sometimes you start to freak out and you're like, oh my God, like there's too much going on. I don't know what's happening. Right? If you're like that, write one in the chat or raise your hand. If you've ever experienced that, where you're just like, you're excited, you get going, and then, oh man, like it's a little bit heavier than I originally thought that it was going to be. And then what happens is you either lean into it or you leave, right? Most of the time we want you to lean in, because when you get to that overwhelming feeling, we just have to lean in a little bit more, and then we can push through. Because once you lean in, what happens is you see it work, and you see it work for the first time and the second time and the third time and the fifth time and the 10th and the 100th and the 1000th. And then you go to this place of, hell yeah, I got it. I know it. I'm confident about it. And it works 100% of the time, right? Chris and I have proved that the FlowChat method of doing DM outreach to book call to close deal, or DM outreach to see a website or grow a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever have you, it works 100% of the time if you work the system. And once you get to this place and you develop all this conviction, and now you have the system and infrastructure and tech, you're super confident that you can replicate those results over and over and over. Now, if you're in that space right now, just write one in the chat or raise your hand, because I know there's a lot of people that are already there. And if you're not there, I encourage you just to lean in a little bit more. Keep coming to these sessions, because we're going to walk through exactly how to get to this place where you feel just like this dude right now, Jim Carrey, obviously awesome guy. So the 4-point off scripting method is the following. Number one, when we have a pipeline that's now being loaded, or we have people in that, and people are starting to actually generate conversations, the first thing that you're going to find in your message inbox is these unread messages. Those are the people that are always going to be the hottest people that we want to start speaking with first. After we get through going through all of our unread messages, then we'll move to the response received stage in your pipeline. Now, if we built the pipeline from the find and fill services that we offer, you'll see that one of the stages, it's either stage 6, 7, 8, or 9 in your pipeline, will say response received. And that's where you kind of will take over after somebody has already engaged with you, right? So that's the next place that we're going to go. The third place is then we manage all of the off script messaging that is coming our way. And then last but not least, we actually end up working the remainder of the pipeline from right to left, right? So the idea here is always have somebody feeding your pipeline, whether it's you or another person. That has to happen every day. But once you have that thing up and running and you're getting people in there, this is the process that you should roll through when you're running your pipelines for max efficiency. So let's dive into each one. We'll go a little bit deeper in some of these slides. So let's start it with unread messages, right? So what are these? First of all, how do you execute? The first thing we do is open our FlowChat pipeline. You guys know how to do that. You just log into your screen. Once you're logged in there, now we're going to open the social platform. This example's on LinkedIn, right? So we're going to come over here to LinkedIn. One of the things we're going to do, and LinkedIn has this feature, Facebook removed this feature recently, but you can actually click on that little box in the circle there and go down to where it says unread, and it'll just pop all of your unread messages right to the top of your messaging inbox. And then we can start with the unread messages, right? So the next thing we do is we're going to take the first one that we pop up. You can see here, it's Masawar, and we're going to go find Masawar in FlowChat, right? So if I hit a button here, you would just then type in the name at the top of your pipeline. His name will pop up. It'll go right to that card. And then we actually look for the template that we want to use. So if I go back a slide, we'll see right here in his messages. So we sent our message here. And then you look down here, it says short vid would do. So he's asking us for a video. So we know the thing we want to send him is the video. If we want to use the template, then we're just going to go find the name here in FlowChat by typing the name in here. And then we're going to use our template feature where we can either right click or left click on one of these two little icons. And if you left click, the default message from the stage is copied to your clipboard. If you right click, a box will appear to choose a template, and then you just left click on the template you want to use, and then that one's copied to your clipboard and the same thing happens, right? So we'll copy the template. In this case, we don't want to send a follow-up, but we actually want to send the video link because he said a short vid will do. So in this case, I would right click on this message icon, and then I would left click on where it says video message or video template, right? And then from there, we would go in and we would actually just paste that message right here in the inbox. You can see this is the message that was pasted. He said a short vid would do. We send the video link that we send, and you just send that template, right? And then the next thing you do is you drag the lead card. So you will pop back into pipeline and you drag the lead card right over to video link sent. So that's the first unread message. This is how you deal with unread messages. And again, when you're starting to run the pipeline, start in your social media environment, the DM environment, and choose the unread messages only and go through those first, because those are the hottest people that have responded to you. That's the best way to do it. Once we're done with those, then we move on to the response received. In your pipeline, first thing again, you're going to open your pipeline. So we'll go right back to the pipeline here. And then we're going to go find that stage that says response received. Now, you might not have that in your pipeline. It's okay, right? Again, you just probably want to skip over this one and go to the next one. But if you have the response received in your pipeline, this is how you do it. The first thing is we're going to just go in there and we're going to left click the little message icon here and grab the normal template, which is going to be the invite to video or call message in our case, right? It might be different in your case. And then that's going to take us right into this person's chat. And then what we can see is, oh, this person actually also responded to us here. So if we didn't catch them in the unread message threads, then we can paste our message and we can update. So you may have to slightly adjust your template just to match the conversation similar to this example. This is one of the reasons why we don't do automated message sending, because sometimes if I were just to say, sure, Sean, what caught your team's attention? And I said, like, great, PS, thanks for the connect. I'll get right to it. And I jumped into it. I didn't answer her question. This is why it's so powerful to be able to pop in right here and say, oh, well, I love how direct you are with your profile, because that's what caught my team's attention, right? And that answers the question. And then boom, I'm still doing an ask and I can still push forward in this particular pipeline flow. Very simple to do. And then you just modify the message, send the message, and then we go back and we're going to drag the card to the stage that it needs to be drugged to, right? And that's it. Response received. So we're going to rip through all of the response received that we have here. And then once we've completed that, we're moving now on to the third part, which is the off script messages. These are the messages that typically don't fall within the pipeline. Maybe somebody said something outside of the scope. Maybe it's some side of a different relationship or anything like that. Again, very simple. We're just going to open up the pipeline view, and then we're going to go and choose some filters. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set up our pipeline so that it has only the off script messages that we can see. It keeps us hyper focused. So how we do this is we hit the little thing that says more search filters. There's a little button right there which says number 1. And then we're going to come over to this drop down status and we're going to choose off script only, make it green. And then we hit 3 to make it apply. And then what will happen is all of the off script messages will show up in your pipeline, and then we start working them. And the way we work these is we scroll all the way to the right-hand side of our pipeline and we work backwards. Why are we working backwards? Well, we work backwards because those are the people that are closest to actually purchasing from us. And we want to push those opportunities forward the fastest first. And so this is why we work backwards from the pipeline flow. And of course, in this case, you'd come down here and you'd click whatever these little icons are, and you would probably have to do a completely off script message. And what's really powerful about the off script side of the house here is on any one of these little lead cards, you've got the drop down, and the drop down has certain filters like lead in, not qualified, closed or lost, off script, some of these other features or things you can choose, the statuses, and it allows you to leave that card in that same pipe column or stage. And so if you have to, like respond to the off script and come back, and then you'd actually move, you adjust the off script back to lead in. So you click on the little card and you drop it back to lead in after you've responded to the message. And then you would just move that card then to the next stage of wherever it needed to be. Now, if you don't have another stage to move it to, what you can do is you can leave it in the same stage that you're in, and then you can change the date where it says today. You can just change it for like 2 days in the future, 3 days in the future, something like that, right? And then now you have that, and you can, so the idea is if you have a multiple person team running your pipeline, the first couple of people are running as much of the flow as they can, and then the off scripts are falling into your court. Well, when you put it back to the lead in status, this is the indicator for the other person that's continuing to run your flow to dive in and keep going, right? And so that's a little bit of a power move there, just using the statuses. I use them on a daily basis to do that for the off scripting. And then once you've completed those things, you do the last thing. The last thing is you just work all the rest of the leads that are in there. So to do this, you just open your pipeline, number 1. And then number 2, we start on the right and we work backwards. And that's the secret, right? So once you have your pipeline starting to fill up, we go through unread message. Again, those 4 things that we do, right? So we do unread messages, response received, off script, and then we work right to left with all of the leads. That's the best way to do it. And voila, you have the exact process of how to eliminate all the overwhelm and how to actually run a pipeline for max efficiency. And so here's what we've accomplished today. You've mastered the 4 points of how to do the off scripting side of the house. And again, start with unread messages. Then we go to responses received. Then we deal with off script, and then we go right to left. And don't be hard on yourself if you only get through the unread messages in a day, right? What I do, right? So you're set up for success. Step 2 here is time block your calendar. If you look at my calendar on a day-to-day basis, I have where I'm doing my off scripting work every day. I have it bulleted and blocked when I can fit it in, and I make sure that I have at least 1 to 2 hours a day booked. So if you don't have your time, your calendar time blocked, do it right now as we're in this session. Just go over to your calendar right now and look at your calendar objectively and say, I know I want to prospect here, here, and here, and here, and here. Just put in a placeholder to do the off scripting work, and then be diligent on your live and die by your calendar is what I'd say. And then of course, to eliminate the overwhelm, it's very simple. Do the work and get the results. And one last thing that I'll share here before we kind of end the session, very simply, is don't beat yourself up if you have let your pipeline slip for a minute and then there's like a ton of people in there and there's these overdues everywhere. That's okay. All we want to do is want to get in there and start chipping away at it. Instead of doing on a numbers basis, do it on a time basis. I'm going to spend 1 hour. I'm going to focus on this process. And at the end of the hour, my buzzer goes off and I know I need to switch task. And then be proud of yourself for doing that work. That's going to help you to eliminate the overwhelm. And with that said, guys, that's it. It's time to go FlowChat.